Just got done editing this interview. You guys are going to love it. Before I do that, though, I want you to know that I'm going to be in the comments for the next 30 minutes or so answering your questions. If there's additional questions you want me to ask the CEO next time I interview them, leave them below. Or if you're just loving the data points I get CEOs to share, click the thumbs up button below. That's your way of telling me you're loving this stuff, and I'll get you more of it. Additionally, again, I'll be in the comments answering any questions you have. All right, for 30 minutes. Enjoy the interview. Hello, everyone. My guest today is John Kim. He's the co-founder and CEO of SendBird, a Y Combinator W16 class. It's a B2B startup providing a messaging solution for enterprises. The platform currently serves tens of millions of monthly active users and many of the best-known logos around the world, like Yahoo Sports, Hinge, and one of the most active websites in the world. John is a serial entrepreneur and an expert in the messaging space. Little known about John is that he was Korea's #1 pro gamer for Unreal Tournament. John, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah.
All right.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
I'm not as cool as you. So what is the Unreal Tournament?
Unreal Tournament is one of those earlier generation first-person shooters.
Like
Overwatch, but just generations earlier.
So you were in like a massive competition in the finale, and you had to message one of your teammates through the gaming platform, and it broke. And you said, "I'm going to launch SendBird to fix messaging once and for all." Right?
Yep, something like that.
All right. In all seriousness, so what takes you from a gamer to a software entrepreneur? When did you come up with the idea for SendBird?
Yeah, we actually started SendBird around the beginning of 2013. Back then, we actually started out as a B2C company. We were building a community app for moms, and we were trying to add a chat feature for our own application. That's kind of when we realized there wasn't a decent, like modern SDK which we could just plug and play. So we ended up building the entire chat stack ourselves and then started selling that on the sideline. And that actually generated more revenue and more customers than our main B2C application. So we had to pivot. And then we fully launched at the Y Combinator 3 years later.
When was the mom site launched? What year?
That was 2013.
Oh, it was 2013. Okay. And yeah. Is like, if I look up your LLC right now for SendBird, will it say like, moms org DBA SendBird? In other words, is it the same cap table, same company, or no?
Yeah, same company, same cap table. We started out as Smile Family. And then we actually changed our name to SendBird Inc. Many, many years later, I think around after Series B. Okay. So it's been like Smile Family for almost 5 years.
Did you apply to YC as the mom kind of community, or had you already pivoted?
So we first applied to YC with the mom's application. We didn't get in that time, but after pivoting, we applied again in late 2015, and that's when we were accepted as SendBird.
Okay. So give me some context at that moment in time. So in 2015, or was your product basically what it is today, at least the origins of it?
Yeah. So we started building what became SendBird around beginning of 2015. And then we were kind of doing the private, access, friends and family, selling to friends and families in the industry. Then we fully packaged our product at the end of 2015. That's when we applied to YC with that idea. That launched in January of 2016.
Okay. Now, a lot of my listeners will be very familiar with obviously like Intercom, like these kind of companies, right? That are kind of, WYSIWYG, drag as you drop. True or false? You're essentially an enterprise version of this. That's acts more like an SDK than a kind of a JavaScript plugin on a website. Is that accurate?
Yeah. Two ways to look at it. One is it's a plug and play SDK and API for developers. So we don't sell to marketers or sales or contact centers. We sell to product managers and engineers. And two, our primary use case is user-to-user communication. And that user could be two people chatting on a dating app, or a seller talking to buyer in the marketplace, food delivery person talking to the customer on their application. So it's that user-to-user communication is what we do.
Yeah, me texting my Uber driver saying, I'm wearing a black hat standing on the upper level of the airport. Come find me.
Yep.
When do you win the Uber account?
We haven't yet won the Uber account, but we pretty much work with Uber-like companies all across the world. We practically work with the #1 companies in almost all countries, except Uber. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned. There you go. Okay, let's dive into your pricing model. So what are companies paying on average per month or per year to use this technology?
It really depends on how much volume you're buying. So it really depends on how much you're. And so if you have a couple thousand users, the price per user would be relatively more higher than let's say if you have tens of millions of users on a monthly basis. And today we currently power about 100 million users that chat through our platform every month.
Okay. Just because I'm sure you have so many different cohorts. You probably have SMBs, mid-market, and then large enterprise accounts. Give me kind of a sweet spot here, right? Are we talking like a $10,000 a year account is pretty average, or $100,000 a year, very enterprise?
So overall, ACV, I would say, is in the tens of thousands, but as small as a couple of $1,000 a month, a year, all the way up to millions of dollars a year.
Yep. So let's
really spread out.
The reason I want to do this is to use a real example. So let's say that I'm signing up for your platform and I'm going to pay your sweet spot. Let's say it's $30,000 per year. How many messages am I likely paying for going through my platform over that year?
So we don't charge per message. So we highly encourage our customers to send as many messages as possible. It just purely depends on the monthly active users. So usually our customers know their monthly active users numbers by heart.
So what would my monthly active users probably be if I'm paying you $30,000 a year?
It really depends on what kind of premium features you're picking. Could be hundreds of thousands of tens of thousands of dollars a month.
No. Let's say I'm in your sweet spot. You said your sweet spot ACV is probably tens of thousands per year. So let's say I'm paying you $30,000 per year. That customer, how many users do I probably have on my platform? So
it's a little bit more complicated than Street Shoot, but basically it could be tens of thousands of monthly active users going up to 100,000 monthly active users.
Okay, fair enough. Got it. So you're upselling against two pricing verticals: your customers' monthly active users, along with any feature-based upselling you're doing.
Yeah, things like if you have HIPAA compliance, or if you want a private dedicated servers instead of being on a multi-tenant servers, if you want like advanced moderation capabilities and so forth. So there are certain features that a certain type of customers would prefer that are not really relevant to the entire customer base. They would actually create a bespoke plan for them.
So 2013, mom site, pivot in 2015, start writing lines of code for this SDK. You get into YC with this idea. When was your first dollar of revenue on the new idea?
That was around May of 2015, $50 a month, a small gaming studio. Then we had like 20 paying customers all over different pricing points by the time we applied to YC, because it was our first time doing B2B. We didn't know what we were doing.
Yeah, so 2015, call it 20 customers total by the end of the year applying to YC, getting in. And then help us understand where you've scaled to today. How many customers?
We have 422 paying customers.
422. Okay, great.
3,000 free applications.
Yeah, so there's a lot of these 422 customers are like brands, like maybe IAC that run many, social, Fishbowl, Tinder, and another app. So they'll pay you for those three, and so that's the 3,000 applications.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So 422 customers. Okay. Nice growth here. Help me understand how you went from 20 customers in 2015 to 400 today. In other words, what's your kind of go-to-market strategy? Is it an outbound strategy, inbound, something else?
So it has evolved quite a bit since the past couple of years. So in the beginning, we started out with content, purely SEO, and targeting a couple of developer websites, whether it be StackShare, Stack Overflow, and things like that. So still to this date, majority of our revenue do come from inbound inquiries from developers around the world. Geo distribution wise, we have customers in US, about 40% come from US, about 30% come from EMEA, 30% come from APAC. So it's very globally distributed. Now, since a couple of years back, when we start building the internal sales team, we also started building the outbound engine. So I believe for the past about 2 years, outbound engine has been continued to grow. So right now, I think we're in a pretty good spot of balancing that out with inbound and outbound.
How many folks are on the team today that do carry a quota?
Roughly 20 people, quota-carrying reps.
Okay. And what's your total team size, everybody?
About 200.
Okay. And how many?
Maybe shy of 200.
How many engineers?
About 100 engineers.
Okay. 100. Got it. And then so 100 engineers, 20 quota-carrying reps, and then 80 that are kind of admin, miscellaneous, something in the middle.
Yeah, marketing. There's also just general management. Yeah.
Now, John, you're in San Francisco. You're growing fast, and you've also done all this completely bootstrapped, right?
There have been more. We're very fortunate to be not backed by YC, but some well-known investors here in the Bay Area. Shasta Ventures and August Capital led our Series A of $60 million. And then Series B, we were able to raise $102 million from Iconic Capital and Tiger Global Management.
Yep. So total raise to date is how much?
A little bit over 120 million.
Okay, 120. And where is most of that capital going? Is it truly kind of engineering headcount, or is there some other big cost structure we don't know about?
Bitcoin and Amazon. No,
probably not. Amazon maybe not a bad investment right now.
Yeah. Well, so majority obviously goes to hiring people, hiring and retaining the talented people. And then obviously we do actually pay a lot of the cloud vendors. And then we started to invest a little bit into marketing as well.
Into marketing. Yeah. Okay. So walk me through that Series B, I believe. When was that?
It was we announced in May of last year.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, I mean, that's obviously a fairly large round. Most companies kind of in your space, once you're in the venture track, you're raising every kind of 12 to 18 months. How are you thinking right now about the virus in terms of your burn rate, right? Are you trying to extend runway? Were you in the middle of a raise that you have to delay now? How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, so we've been very cognizant of where we invest our capital. So one of the, I guess, corporate, almost like a culture methodology is to be really just capital efficient, how we think about, spending money. So we still have majority of the money we raised from Series B. So we're not in a rush to raise any money anytime soon. But we've been creating multiple different plans, scenarios based on, how this year is going to pan out. Because I think we haven't really seen a lot of slowdown in Q1, but potentially there could be some impact to our customers in Q2 throughout the year. So we want to really be flexible in terms of how we respond to the market. But overall, we believe we have created a pretty conservative plan when it comes to financing. But with that said, we are also looking at other strategic opportunities to, potentially acquiring companies to accelerate our product roadmap. So for a couple of those like strategic reasons, we may end up raising sooner than later.
Yeah. A couple of follow-up questions on that. When you did do the last raise in your brain, how many months of runway were you raising for?
Back then we weren't really spending a lot. I think theoretically we had like 80 plus years of runway, but now we did add a lot of people to the company. Typically when companies raise, they raise for 24 to 36 months, if not 18 months. We do have a lot more runway than those. And we want to make sure that we continue to control our destiny by just having more runway than typical companies. Yeah,
you strike me as a math guy based off how intentionally you're giving answers. So when you say hypothetically 80 years of runway, I assume you're taking kind of 102 million divided by your burn and saying, you know what, we're only burning like $1 million a year, maybe 2 million in a big investment year. So we have plenty of runway. Is that fairly accurate?
Yeah. Back then, yes, that was accurate.
Yeah, fair enough. You obviously have ramped a bit since then. Considering the current kind of macroeconomic trends, again, with the virus, things crashing, general fear in the markets, how comfortable are you driving and how comfortable are you in driving burn up? I mean, would you be comfortable sleeping at night at $1 million a month in burn?
Wow, that's a good question. So again, we have multi kind of faceted approach to this. There's definitely that aggressive accelerated plan. Then there's a base plan. There's also the COVID-19 plan. So we have different kind of approach to how we control our burn. But we do have a pretty extensive dashboard built out internally where we can monitor metrics around sales, marketing, engineering, headcount, all those things into one single data platform at our company. That's all being monitored in real time. So based on some of these leading indicators, we can always move up, scale up, let's say go spend a little bit more on the marketing side or slow down the hiring and things like that. So it is really a very, very flexible plan with multiple variables being considered.
Yep. Now is a great time to buy. Obviously, if you're sitting on cash, you're in a fortunate position to be sitting on cash. It sounds like, 80, 90, maybe even 100 million worth of cash. How do you tactfully go out and kind of probe the market to see if you have competitors or tech stacks that you really would love to acquire, but not do it in a way where the founder goes, oh, he's reaching out because shit's hitting the fan right now and he wants to take advantage of me?
Yeah, so we're not in a rush to buy anyone, but thankfully after announcing that round, a company of all shapes and sizes did reach out to us for their strategic partnership opportunities. And I sold my previous company before, so I've kind of been in that shoes of being in a position to sell the company, understanding why we are doing what we're doing. So building a thorough rationale on potential acquisitions, and then what we do internally was For instance, we are actually in the process of acquiring a company right now, a small studio. And then the process we went through was we basically did create a long list of companies out on Crunchbase, AngelList, and a long list. And then we applied qualifying filters. We hunkered down to about 450. And out of those, 48 were contacted. And then we met with a team of 10 companies. And we ended up doing due diligence on 4 companies, and we gave a term sheet to 1 company. So it is a very, very rigorous process. And all of that process was run in about a month. So we try to keep it efficient and very, very methodical. So by the time companies are talking to us, we know they have intention to sell, and we know why. Is it out of morale, or is it actually they built something that's highly technical, but they didn't really get to product market fit, and so forth. So by the time we are working with them, sitting down on the table, our rationales and motivations are pretty well aligned.
Mm-hmm. Now, it makes all good sense. Now, when you're doing these acquisitions, are you mainly looking for, again, talent and tech, or buying revenue and something that looks good that you can upsell to your current base?
Yeah, that's another excellent question. So we always want to crawl, walk, and then run. So we had opportunity to acquire companies with a lot of revenue, but also there's a purely acqui-hire place. Right now, what we're looking for is somewhere between acqui-hire and talent, and then the IP acquisition. If they've built a software that can really accelerate our product roadmap, that would be our sweet spot. But if you do have a product that's highly, highly aligned to what we do, like API-driven model with subscription, that's really related to communications, real-time communications, and that'd be actually a worthwhile conversation as well, if they do have some revenue.
Yep, very good. So 2015, again, you get this thing going now. Today, 100 odd million raised, team size of 200, just shy 200 folks, 422 customers, average ACV, call it $3,000 a month or $30,000 a year. But obviously, again, some people north of $1 million a year, some people less than maybe 5,000 per year. With that math, 422 customers at that ACV, I mean, that puts you somewhere at like 1.4, 1.5 million per month. Have you guys broken kind of the 20 million run rate mark at this point?
20 million run rate. Yeah, we've certainly broken the milestone. I won't mention the specific traction, but that's good math.
Okay, so. Thank you. Appreciate that. Can you talk a bit about if that's generally where you are at today? I mean, go back 12 months from now. I assume you're way more than doubling year over year to do the kind of round you did last year. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So we've been on the path of that. Triple, double path. Some years we've been faster, some years we've been probably a little bit slower, but roughly on that path.
Okay. So roughly, I mean, can we back into this a bit? 2018, probably somewhere around kind of 5 million in ARR ending in December. 2019, you pass or you're flirting with the 20 million ARR mark, and you feel like this year, depending on what plan you go with, your COVID plan, your conservative plan, or your aggressive plan, you would love to get above 50, 60 million bucks in ARR.
Ooh, that'd be nice. Yeah. We're kind of looking at, so the way we look at it is, again, it really depends on how the market is responding, how fast, because with these kind of market sales cycles tend to slow down. So we want to just really understand the leading indicators, and based on those, we'll be adjusting our plans accordingly. But
yep. Very good. Last question here before we wrap up with the famous 5. Churn is obviously critical in any SaaS company. There's a lot of CEOs I interview where they tie the pricing to something that is actually not the key value metric. I think you're in a very unique position where I think it's pretty crystal clear what your value metric is, right? It's, you decided not to do number of messages because you don't want to disincentivize messages being sent, but you said, let's tie it to number of users they have on their platform, which obviously is smart. So how good is that metric? And that's measured obviously by churn. So if you look at your gross revenue churn over the past 12 months, where's that coming in at?
Yeah, I won't answer any specific numbers, but our churn, because we are an API SDK company, the churns tend to be quite low. The only caveat is that most of the churn we see is just small startups shutting down their applications or shutting down their business.
Yeah, that shouldn't impact revenue churn. That won't impact revenue churn much though.
Yeah. So our logo churn tends to be higher than the dollar churn. Dollar churn is pretty healthy. I would say it's definitely in that top quartile kind of SaaS category for sure.
Yeah. I would say based off when I sort my data, I'd say top quartile is less than 5% revenue churn annually on a gross basis. Is that fair to say?
I won't comment on that, but I would say we're in a pretty healthy state.
Is it a fair statement to say that when you add back your expansion revenue from your historical accounts, net revenue retention is greater than 100%?
Net dollar retention, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, very good. And what is more impactful in driving your ability to upsell customers? Your ability to upsell them on a feature basis, or your ability, like they're growing organically because they're adding more users themselves?
Yeah, definitely latter, because either they already have an existing user base and they roll out to more of their users, or simply they themselves are growing. So it happens pretty organically.
Yeah, very good. All right, let's wrap up with the famous five. Number one, favorite business book?
Right now, I'm reading this book, The Great CEO Within.
Oh, very good. The Great CEO Within. Who recommended that to you?
It was recommended on Twitter by multiple CEOs from YC.
Oh, very good. All right. And number two, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
Oh, I think he was on your podcast, Eric.
Eric Vaughn. Yeah.
I've known him for some years now, or following him for some years now, and I just love his philosophy on happiness and just general conscientiousness and grit.
He did such an amazing job. Like, he came on 18 months before they filed the S1, where they had about 150 million raised, and they had already hit about 130 million in ARR. And what's fascinating, I mean, the 1-to-1 ratio between those is just remarkable. Not only that, but he resisted the urge to do like a big round before the IPO, but still doubled revenue to 300 million on 150 raise. Just incredible numbers. That, right now you took a big, I mean, look, it's a risk, but it can also be big reward, where you raise, a massive $100 million round and you're in the 20 to 30 million ARR range. And you have to now figure out how to deploy that to kind of, obviously grow revenue. Did you consult Eric on that raise, and what was his advice on raising so much on a smaller stack of ARR?
No, I didn't get his advice on raising, but this round kind of happened organically. We didn't set out to raise 100 million. We went out to raise 30 to 40. We just ended up getting a lot of interest from the investor community, and we were given a term that we thought it was aligned with what we believe where we could be. And then I think we finally kind of earned that valuation, and probably potentially more. So we feel pretty confident with where we are today and where we're headed.
Very good. Number three, what's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Favorite online tool? Well,
Zoom.
I'm sure you might hit. It would be Zoom, but also like I just generally like any kind of software, whether it be Confluence or just G Suite or Slack.
Number four, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
I just measured. Today I slept 5 hours and 16 minutes. Typically somewhere between 5 to 8 hours.
Okay, very good. And what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
Married, 2 kids.
2 kiddos, very good. And how old are you?
Oh, 39.
39. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Things will work out. Don't give up. Just keep on focusing, and life will be kind of okay.
Guys,
by the way, yes, you made it to Silicon Valley.
Guys, there you have it. SendBird, a complete chat solution, SDK, API-based approach instead of a JavaScript, embed kind of intercom-like approach. They're serving over 100 million messages now. John, you said monthly, right, or annually?
Monthly active users.
Monthly active
Messages
users.
in the billions.
Oh, wow. Okay, over 100 million monthly active users across the 422 customers that are paying them anywhere between, small amounts up to, some customers more than $1 million per year, but average, call it a $30,000 ACV. Raise 120 million bucks to continue to drive growth. Still sitting on most of the last round of 100 million in the bank right now, looking strategically at acquisitions in a time of, financial panic. Does acquisitions make sense? Do they hold it to drive burn? He has plans for all of these things. Over 100% net revenue retention, though, as they look to continue to scale. John, thanks for taking us to the top.
Yeah, really enjoyed speaking with you.
These CEOs rarely give these kinds of interviews. I hit them hard, I get the data, and I want to do it more. So if you want to get more of this stuff, make sure you subscribe up here. And then additionally, go check out one of my other CEO interviews right now.